What happened to you, Marjorie Taylor Greene? I was reliably informed that you were a right-wing extremist, and now I'm hearing from Mark Levin and others that you're a liberal.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
So you've gotten pretty liberal?
No.
No,
no,
you haven't.
No, not one bit.
But you are saying things that I've never heard you say before. Of course, we're in a different moment. We're in a moment where, a lot of things that I'll speak for myself that I had zero interest in ever talking about got kind of forced on us because of the wild, unbridled aggression of a few ideologues in Washington, kind of like you just can't avoid the topic.
Right.
So you are a Republican serving in the House. Really the only issue that all Republicans in the House agree on is that Israel is a priority over the United States. They all agree.
Oh, absolutely. They all agree on that.
But you're now saying that you don't think that's true.
No. As a matter of fact, I'm sticking to the campaign promises that I've made from the beginning.
Yes.
America first.
Yep.
That's what I've said the entire time.
And you meant it, I guess.
I unapologetically mean it.
Yeah.
And apparently that's shocking. This is so interesting, Tucker. Since I've become a member of Congress since 2021, we have voted on 22 resolutions for Israel, 22 of them. All kinds of resolutions, denouncing anti-Semitism, supporting Israel. We voted on 22 of those. We never vote on resolutions proclaiming great things about America or defending certain Americans or defending Americans in general. But we have voted on 22 resolutions in the House defending Israel.
How many of you voted yes on?
I don't know my exact record. The last one I voted no on, and then the one before that I voted present because I just started getting sick of it.
Well, that's kind of it. I mean, I've always noticed this, certainly in the last, I don't know how many years it's been, a while, where Republicans in the Congress are, always talking about Israel. I'm not against Israel. I've always liked Israel, so I haven't really noticed it. Okay, fine. Love
right.
Israel, love any country, whatever. But it feels like something has changed. Like why? And clearly it has for you. What is that thing?
Well, I think here's the situation. It's coming to a point where it's so obvious all the time in everyone's language, the social media posts they put out, the statements that they make. They have to proclaim Israel. They have to proclaim their faith and loyalty in Israel and how Israel is our greatest ally. And it's a statement that has to be made over and over and over again to the point it's becoming like, wait a minute, what about our own country? What about our own people? And we have so many problems here in America. And we talk about this all the time. $37 trillion in debt. Just like you and I were speaking before, our kids' generations. My kids are 22, 25, and 27. And our children's generation, they can't afford rent. They can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't buy a new car. They can't find a good paying job. They're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck, credit card bills stacked up. And they literally look to the future going, how am I ever going to realize the American dream? And it seems hopeless for them. But then in Congress, everyone is chasing and pursuing and proclaiming their loyalty to a foreign country. And my goodness, I have nothing against Israel. I wish them well. Exactly. I wish the people of Israel well. I wish Jewish people well. But I also wish every country well. And I want good things for everyone.
So why do you hate Israel so much?
Right?
Yeah.
But, here's what it is. I compare it to, it's like white guilt. We've dealt with white guilt for so many years and it's...
Has it worked? Has it improved anyone's life?
No.
Yeah.
No. And this is a similar thing when in reality, everyone's lives are going to improve here in our country if we just focus on our own country. Yeah. And it's really simple.
One of my children just graduated college, and I was talking to her this morning over coffee. She's got 13 friends she's moving to a major American city with. And I know them all. I know them, for her 4 years in college. Great people. 3 have jobs.
3.
Yeah,
out of 13.
Out of 13. And it's not, it's like a real college. pretty good college and pretty smart kids. Hard to get into for sure. 3 out of 13. And most of them are from, well-to-do family. They'll be fine. They're not going to starve to death or anything, but that's not good.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We are literally failing our children.
Yeah.
And it's unacceptable. And it's opening the door for so many bad things in America. It's opening the door for Americans turning to voices and turning to leaders that they should never pay attention to.
Exactly.
And it disgusts me. Honestly, I turned a corner this past weekend where I'd had it. I have been in 4 years. My first 4 years was under the Biden administration. And so everything I blamed on Democrats.
Exactly.
And I was absolutely repulsed and disgusted to what happened to our country over 4 years, just like everyone else. Shocked, angry, and disgusted.
Me too.
And obviously that's why we won in November.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it was a miracle. I mean, people poured out from all walks of life, all backgrounds, and came out and voted for Trump, voted for Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate. So we've been in power for 6 months. And I was so excited in the beginning thinking there's nothing we can't do, literally nothing we can't do. But 6 months in, there's literally nothing that we can do. And then we ended up bombing a foreign country. And that upset me so much. And I'm allowed to be upset about it. I can stand here and say—
You are allowed?
Well, no, I'm not sure not according to Mark Levin and not according to many others, that prioritize another country over our country.
It's interesting. You said a second ago that when people are really frustrated, when the system they live under fails them, they listen to voices that they shouldn't listen to or wouldn't listen to under any other circumstance. Like, how did Al Sharpton get to be the leader of Black America or whatever? I mean, it's like it's a thing. Mm-hmm. Desperate people tend to go to crappy leaders, I think. And I just can't get over what happened in our biggest city this week, the very same week that everybody in D.C. is focused thousands of miles away on the greatest threat we face, Iran's nuclear program. I don't want Iran to have the bomb. I'm not pro-Iran,
no,
obviously.
We're not pro-Iran.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to say it?
No,
but
right.
We do.
It's dumb.
There's
but at the same time that everybody was looking to Iran, our largest city had a Democratic primary, effectively the mayor's race, and like 32-year-old socialist who wants government-run grocery stores gets elected. He's going to likely run our biggest city.
Yeah.
And in the country.
Right. New York.
And it's like, why did that happen? Is it because people are so like desperate for government-run grocery stores or love socialism or love like foreign-born midwits running their cities?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. Mm-mm. That guy was the only person in the New York City mayor's debate to say he wanted to focus on New York City. All the candidates were asked, if you could visit a foreign country, what would it be? And they, of course, all had an answer. I think most said Israel. Great. And he said, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd stay in New York. And like, if I want to meet Jewish constituents, I'd go to their synagogues, their homes or whatever, but I'd be here in New York because that's what I'm doing. I'm running New York. That's my job.
Well, he gave the right answer.
He gave the right answer. He gave the right answer at least. And he's talking, I totally oppose his program. Just
absolutely.
To be clear. I don't think it works, but he's talking about economics.
Yep.
And everyone else is talking about foreign policy. Why is it hard to talk about economics, domestic economics?
I don't know. Apparently they don't know how to fix it. Well, look who he was running against. He's looking, the failed mayor, Andrew Cuomo, look at him. He was governor, yeah. Discussing sexual, all types of accusations.
Yeah.
So he was seen as the dirty establishment Democrat, right?
Machine politician.
Right. That really never solved anyone's problems. They already had him, and they still have the same problems.
Right.
They're still poor. They can't afford life. They can't afford to move up in the world.
Exactly.
And so they looked at Andrew Cuomo and was like, why am I going to vote for him? He's not going to make my life better.
No, it's totally
And so they look at this man who's been in our country for 6 years?
Yeah.
6 years. So he's foreign born. He's a socialist, and he's promising to empty the prisons and do all kinds of crazy things. And he's talking to them on their level and talking about the problems they are facing, relating to them with the problems they're facing. So these young people have no choice but to turn to this.
I agree.
And it is a failure. It is literally a failure of the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party has completely failed. And it makes me so angry, Tucker. And I can't, I'm not supposed to speak out, right? I'm not supposed to have my own opinion. I'm supposed to just have blind allegiance to my party, and I'm supposed to cheerlead and rah, rah, rah. But that's not why I ran. That's not why I ran for Congress in the first place. I literally ran because I was mad at Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still mad at Republicans because it is affecting our children's lives and future. And it's our job to hold our elected leaders accountable. It's my job to hold my colleagues accountable. And if we don't fix these problems to the point where young people are turning to crazy socialists, it's going to get worse. It's literally going to get worse, and it'll be gone. I don't think we could ever get it back.
So you walk into my garage, my actual garage, one of the first things you see is a Liberty safe. We trust it. All my family's guns are in there, the guns I inherited, the guns I actually hunt with. I put the things I really care about in a Liberty safe. They've got a new pricing program on its Centurion line that makes it easier than ever to afford real protection, which is made in the United States. These safes are actually made here in Payson, Utah. Skilled American workers make them, and they are clearly a quality product. They're not that expensive. Prices start below $600. The Centurion line is the perfect product for first-time buyers. It's ideal for protecting your firearms, important family documents, anything you want to keep safe. My guns are right there, right now. Every American deserves access to high-quality, secure storage without spending money overseas. That's why Liberty is the best. LibertySafe.com. The whole Centurion line is there. Keep your family protected. You'll be glad you did. We are. Well, it's just kind of weird because Fox News tells us that the real threats are abroad or they're Iranian sleeper cells in the United States. It seems to me the real threat to the United States is the collapse of its cities, of its population centers where the most people live. I don't live in a city, don't want to live in a city because they suck.
Yeah.
But in a normal country, I would live in a city, and so would you.
Sure.
Of course. So I don't understand how we spent the last 25 years fighting all these wars, obsessively focused on our enemies abroad, jihadis or whatever. They're telling us the threat is white supremacists under Biden. And the country has not gotten better.
No.
It's like maintaining the empire has destroyed the republic. It does feel that way.
Oh, 100%. But we have to look at what the struggle we're dealing with. So I think it's very interesting to look at the pattern in place. So 2016, America rose up, and I was one of those little people. And we rose up and turned to one man because he was different. On a stage of 17, he was 100% different than the other 16. And he spoke our language and cared about issues. We were like, oh my gosh, we've never heard a politician say this before. So we elected Trump. And then President Trump went into his first administration totally unaware of what he was getting into. I mean, who could know? If you're coming from the outside, how could you know how that system works? You can't. I didn't know. And so then President Trump thought, hey, everyone's supporting me now. I won the election. All Republicans should get behind me. We're all going for the same thing. But no, they stabbed him in his back. People in his administration were horrible. They threw him under the bus, allowed him to be investigated and accused of horrible things. The people stood with him, but we watched the establishment try to beat him back. Then the election was stolen in 2020. Then January 6th happened. The establishment roared back again and tried to take back the Republican Party, take it back and take control. The people didn't let it happen, though. The people were like, no, we do not want to go back to the neocon ways. We don't want to go back to the failures of the leadership of the Republican Party. So then we saw what happened. He got more powerful. They were prosecuting him. 34 indictments. They found him guilty. They tried to kill him twice. They put him in jail, giving him that iconic photo. And then we elected him again, but it's the same thing. You know what's happened? The establishment and the neocons, the ones that tell us that they're America first. Oh, we're not. We're fake MAGA. Fake MAGA. They're the ones that have figured out how to dress up in an America First costume and put on a MAGA hat. And now they speak our language perfectly. They have the dialect down. They know the lingo and they know how to talk like us, but they're not us at all. And I think that's what we saw happen over the past week when we bombed Iran. We saw the whole establishment rear its ugly head, and it's bigger than we could have imagined. And I think it was fully exposed. And to me, I looked at that and I went, wow, it's worse than I thought.
Me too.
Because you want to know something, Tucker? We only have President Trump for a few more years. And in just a few more years, we're going to have to elect another president. And we're going to all have to turn and find a new leader that will share our values and fight for them. That's going to be very hard because we're going to have to fill shoes that are very big, very difficult to fill. And we've had President Trump now for all these years, and so many people are going to be disappointed because you're not going to have another Trump. There's not going to be one. And I think it's the most dangerous time for people like us that truly care about our country, love our children, and want to fix the problems so that their lives can be better. And I think we're going to face a real fight within our party to make sure that that we're pushing the focus to focus on America, focus on our problems, and just let the world do its thing. We can have great trade deals. We can do all these things, but it's going to be very hard to push that system in place because I really think in the past week I realized that that's not who they are. They said it on the campaign trail. They promised it when they got elected, and a whole bunch of others, the talking heads on TV, they all pretended. But in the past week, I was like, nope, it's not real.
Yeah. So the question is, do the people who really do care about the United States give up and leave, the party, the movement, or not? I mean, New York City was built by, hardworking, sober Christian people, and they built this amazing city. And then, of course, they all left because it became chaotic starting in the 60s, and they're all gone. And that's why you get the election results you do. Yeah. They just ran away, and they moved to the suburbs or Montana or wherever. They have a tendency, productive people have a tendency to do that. They don't stay and fight. They're like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm out.
Yeah, they don't have to stay in the fight.
Well, that's true. But do you see that happen with America First? Do you, like in 5 years, are people going to be like, when Mark Levin and Laura Loomer built America First with Tom Cotton and Lindsey Graham,
right?
Like, the heroes of the movement,
right?
Like the Soviets redefined the Bolshevik Revolution to make, Stalin the head of it.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Laura Loomer is America First.
Right. I mean,
except Israel first.
But is that going to happen? Do you think that people who really think that we need a government that focuses on the country it represents, will those people stick around and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't, I can see through your skin suit. I know who you are. This is all fake. You can't use my government, my military to prosecute these silly sectarian wars anymore.
Right. I don't know. I'm going to be really honest. I don't know. I think it goes one of two ways.
They can kick you out, then I think we'll know the answer.
Oh, for sure. They would love to. They're already trying to. I had 3 reporters, literally. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. 3 reporters, one from Punchbowl, one from Axios, and one from the Wall Street Journal. And I know who they're connected to people. And they came and they were asking me the same stupid questions, trying to make this like she's betrayed Trump. She's broken up with Trump. She's turned her back on him, which couldn't be further from the truth. But they're setting the stage because they want these headlines, right?
So the Wall Street Journal is now kind of looking out for Trump.
Oh, totally. Yeah, the Wall Street.
Just enforcing loyalty in the Trump ranks.
Yes. Yeah. And Punchbowl, obviously. And
they're very concerned.
Yeah, and
I don't want to see any leaking or disloyalty against Donald Trump.
Those are MAGA publications, let me tell you.
This is too funny. It's too unbelievable.
But it's so predictable.
I know. But I do think and one of the reasons I'm so grateful that you flew all the way from your real job to come see us is that I think it's important to know whether you're going to fight for the movement that you've been in since 2016 and are really identified with. I mean, when you got to Congress, you were so for Trump and his ideas that your own party tried to expel you from the Congress.
Exactly. Literally.
They hated Trump.
Oh, they still hate him. I serve with so many people that hate his guts, hate him.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I have argued with them so many times. I'm like, I love him. I love the man. I don't care about his flaws, whatever. I love him. Yeah. I love his fight. Yes. I love his passion. I love the fact that you cannot beat him. He will beat anybody, and he will not give up. And that's what I love about President Trump.
Yeah.
But I serve with people that hate him. And right now, they're having to do the dance. They have to play the game. They have to say the words, and they're all pretending. They're literally pretending, and they can't wait. To them right now, President Trump is a speed bump. They just have to get past that speed bump, and then they will. It's only a few years away. They just have to play the game long enough and do the deed and not get a Truth Social put out on them,
right,
or have him, primary them or endorse an opponent against them. They have to do that. And then after that, it's going to be back to business as usual. Because you wouldn't believe it. Like the bills that we're putting together, the lobbyists that are coming in, tucking in what they want, big donors. Oh my goodness, the donors that came on board in this last election, new donors, totally different donors than we've ever had before. These big, like the AI tech bros, cryptos come around. There's a whole circle of donors that have all come around. Those aren't the only ones. And then you always have the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
All of them have come around and they're demanding their little things. And that's what they have all tried to tuck into the one big beautiful bill. So it's business as usual in Washington.
It's always been that way to some extent, of course, always. What I find different from what I thought it was anyway is this obsessive love of violence. Mm-hmm. That, like Tom Cotton, you could have dinner with him and disagree on anything. But if you raise a voice against bombing people, like Tom Cotton is upset. Like he wants to be able to kill people, period.
Yeah, I know a lot of my colleagues want to kill people.
What is that?
I think it's a darkness. We're a country. Think about our culture. Ever since I was a little kid, we had movies that we saw movies where Russia's the bad guy and the hero in the story defeats the bad Russian, or there's a war movie where we defeat Russia or China, or it's whoever the bad guy is.
Yes.
And then the movies where we had war movies of defeating Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, all these movies. And we've grown up with Hollywood telling us who the foreign bad guys are.
Yes.
And making these people our complete enemies and never humanizing them. And so, yes, and there's just this obsession with war and killing and murder.
Yes.
And that is sick. It's sick that America is cheering that we bombed another country. Now, okay, let's look at that. Yes, Iran is that they sponsor terrorism. They have killed our military, but our military never belonged over in the Middle East in the first place.
Of course.
I'll argue that all day long. But however, when people that hold power in Washington, D.C., like I do, but everyone I work with is just over the top excited that we may be going to war to kill people, they never think about the innocent people, or they don't care about the innocent people.
It makes them feel powerful. What do you think of when you think of June? Pride Month, of course. Just kidding. Pride is a sin, actually. Getting rid of pride is the goal. In fact, June is the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And our friends at the Hallow app are celebrating accordingly. They're dedicating the entire month to praising the Son of God, and you're invited to join them. Enjoy a deep dive into God's love with daily prayer experiences, including the great Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus himself on The Chosen and recently joined the show. Had a wonderful dinner with him, which we're still talking about in my house. During these meditations, you reflect on the faith's most transformative stories and get to the point, which is to build your relationship with God. It's hard to imagine a better way to spend your time. Again, we love it in our house. It is a never-ending topic of conversation. So join us and millions of others experiencing the love, grace, and mercy and peace that only Jesus can bring you. If you don't believe it, try it. Get 3 months free right now at hallow.com/Tucker. I have noticed there's a connection between the internal weakness in a person and enthusiasm for killing. So I've always wondered, like, why is it the people with the weirdest, most unhappy personal lives? And I'm really trying not to be mean, so I'm going to not use names, but boy, I know a lot of them just living there my whole life. Mm-hmm. They're the most enthusiastic about exerting force on other people, including like children and villagers and stuff. It's like really dark. but it makes them feel powerful. Like you almost never see a strong man get excited about killing.
No.
You see strong men who kill, but they always have mixed feelings about it. I had to do it, but
yeah, or were ordered to do it.
Ordered to do it.
I met just this morning with one of my counties. They came up to visit me, and so we had this great breakfast and met with everybody there. And two different groups that were in the big group were veterans groups. And they were literally telling me this morning about how many veterans they are working with that live with the horrors in their mind of what they did, kicking in doors, going into some family's home, searching for enemies and terrorists. And, some of them killed the father of the family in front of their children. These are the horrors that our brothers, cousins, uncles, fathers, friends live with for the rest of their life, and they cannot function. They cannot have a normal life. Their marriages fall apart. They turn to drugs and alcoholism. They can't keep a job, and this is what it has done to them. So, Tucker, I totally agree with you. I don't know what is wrong with America that anybody cheers that on.
The two issues that people are completely unreasonable about, literally unreasonable, reason doesn't enter into it. It's just such strong emotion that it'll end friendships or start friendships.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you have Bill Kristol praising the Trump administration, are war and abortion.
Yeah.
And it's the power that people feel when they kill is I think it's the most alluring power there is. More powerful than sex, more powerful than money. Being able to take a life makes you feel like God. And for a lot of people, like Lindsey Graham, it compensates for a hollowness inside, a lack of a successful life, no family, et cetera, whatever. I don't want to be Freud here, but it's the weakest people who are the most excited to take a life. I just can't get past it.
I think that's accurate. Yes, I would say that's accurate. I would just also say, what is wrong with our culture? How did we get to this place? Because honestly, okay, it doesn't matter what country it is in the world. Those people are responsible for their government. If they want to tear it down, they will tear it down. I mean, that's a historical fact. Any group of people, if they hate their government enough, they will tear it down. So if those people want to tear down their government, God bless them, let them do it. But it's not our job to do it. Now, Israel wants it to be our job.
Of course.
They want regime change. Yep. And that is their goal. And that's why we're seeing propaganda back on the news that now Iran is months away from having a nuclear weapon, rebuilding their program and having a nuclear weapon, because we have to go right back to it. They've been saying that since the 1990s. So they have to say it again over and over and over again. But that's what they want. And they want America to be drug into it. I got to tell you, it was the coolest thing this past week when I took a really hard stance and I said, I'm totally against this. This is literally what we campaigned on not doing. And here we're doing the thing we said we wouldn't do. Like, why are we doing the thing we said we wouldn't do?
Oh, shut up, Marjorie. Just go along with it.
That's what I was told.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet you were.
Literally, shut up, Marjorie. I get that a lot. But no, this was so crazy to me. We're doing the thing that we said we wouldn't do. And when I spoke out against it, it was like just what you described. Two sides raging on the issue.
Yes.
The one side that was like, yes, we will defend Israel. We will defend them no matter what, against anyone. We'll send our children to die for them. We'll take all the nuclear bombs upon ourselves before we let anything happen to Israel. So we have that whole side. And war.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know. And then we had the whole other side, which was all these people that came out of the woodwork from all over the place. Democrats, liberals, progressives, Republicans, MAGA, America First, flooding in. And it was an all range of things. As you know, the MAGA and America First people was like, I agree with MTG. She's right. And then you've got the people on the left are going, oh my God, what is happening to me? This is the end of the world. I'm agreeing with MTG. Like they're doing mental gymnastics because they're agreeing with me. And it was hilarious. But they're flooding my office with phone calls agreeing with me. And I'm sitting here going, hey, Republicans, Remember we said we weren't going to do this? Imagine how much support we could have if we stuck with it. Like if we actually stuck with what we said and actually meant it, because now there's a lot of people that feel betrayed that we didn't stick with that.
I know.
And that's not what President Trump wants. Absolutely, that's not what he wants. You know, and I have to give him all the praise and credit. He bombed them and then he pulled out. Mm-hmm. Thank God. And I loved it when he dropped the F-bomb, talking to the press, and he was like, both of them have gone crazy. I was like, inject this in my veins right now. This is exactly what I want to hear. But it was the two major reactions that blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind.
I'm not entirely surprised. I've seen that. It is a kind of weird feeling to be praised by people you disagree with on everything or think you disagree with them. Like, who knows? I don't know. Everything is kind of up for grabs. I'm against killing people.
Yeah.
Innocence. I'm just opposed. I'm totally opposed to abortion. I think euthanasia is one of the most evil things I can think of.
Me too. I agree.
And I think wars of choice are really evil. That's my view.
Yep.
But what's interesting, and I feel that instinctively, but I also feel like theologically that's correct. I guess, like, what do I know? But I feel it. But you represent a district in Georgia that's very heavily Protestant Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm Protestant Christian. Mm-hmm. Like you are too.
Yep.
And there is a feeling among a lot of Protestant Christians, non-mainline, what we call evangelicals, I guess is the term they use, that we have a moral obligation to support the secular government of Israel. Mm-hmm. That God tells us that we have to fight these wars for the secular government of Israel, not for the ancient nation of Israel or the Jewish people, but for the secular government.
That supports abortion and supports LGBTQ and trans. And
so, two questions. One, what kind of reaction have you gotten from those voters, many of whom are like some of the best people I know? I just want to say that.
Oh, they're great.
They're great, and they're all your fans. But what kind of reaction have you gotten from them? And second, where does that come from, that belief?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of them are mad at me right now. I can totally expect that and understand it. And I'm sure we'll work it out. That's something I do know. I don't know where it comes from. I think, to me, what I've witnessed, just, from my opinion, it is embedded in our education system. We're taught all these things. We're, of course, taught about the Holocaust, taught about the nation of Israel. It's embedded in our education, but it's also embedded in church. It's embedded in church, and they take that verse back in, I guess it's Genesis
12.
Genesis 12, bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you.
Yeah, I checked the other day because I had this interesting conversation with Ted Cruz, who said his theology was based on that verse. He had no idea where in the Bible it was and couldn't describe what it meant. But that's his theology. Mm-hmm. Try not to be disrespectful. Though I have no respect for it, I just want to say. But anyway, I looked at in my Bible, I checked two different translations. There's no word Israel in there. I don't know enough to know what he's really talking about, but that's very common for kids in Sunday school to be taught.
It's used in Sunday school, and it's used in Bible studies, and it's related to the end times. Mm-hmm. I've done those Bible study groups. It is very much tied into Revelations, and they walk all the way through. They tie it in with the covenant. They tie it in all the way. And look, I'm not going to pretend I'm a Bible scholar. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything. As a matter of fact, I'll sit way back in the back. I know who I am. I know I'm a sinner, and I'm not going to try to tell anybody what they should believe. But I've read my Bible. I grew up Catholic, and then I didn't like the pedophile priest issue, didn't want to raise my children in that. So I left the church, and I'm just a Christian, just a simple Christian. And I've read my Bible. And the one thing I know is it says a lot of other things in there. It says, do not murder. That's pretty important.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Someone hits you in the face, turn the other cheek. If someone takes your cloak, give them the rest of your clothes. I mean, It's like, that's from Jesus. So Christians care above all what Jesus says, I think.
I do.
If you're a young person working for a big company, on some level you're working for the man. You're working for a system that doesn't like you and doesn't help you at all, but you got to do it. But there is a way to subtly stage a minor revolution in your mouth. And that's by using this product. It's not owned by some horrible company that hates you and is trying to wreck your life. It's owned by us, and we made this ALP because it's the single best nicotine pouch in the world. So we have something that you might be interested in, you can get involved in. It's the ALP affiliate program. You share ALP, you get paid. It's that simple. When you sign up, you get a 10% off discount code you can give your friends. They save, you earn, everyone wins, and in the end, everyone gets ALP. So fight back in a subtle way that your bosses may not even notice. ALP. Get paid to tell the truth about the best nicotine pouch out there.
How have we gotten to the point where you have sincere Christians who I think I probably agree with on everything, on certainly most things, who people I love would be delighted to have dinner with? I mean, no disrespect at all to them. But how do we get to a point where good people like that are making the case that Jesus wants more bombing? What is that?
Well, also look at Jesus himself, he was persecuted in his lifetime by the leaders of Israel, the leaders at the temple. He was persecuted by his own people's leaders. And that's something to recognize. And all of the prophets throughout the Old Testament, who were they persecuted and killed by? The leaders of their day. It's throughout the entire Bible. So it's not uncommon that this would be happening. And here's what I find interesting. I don't think, America, if you've read Revelations, is not in Revelations.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about that. And we need to say, why is America not in Revelations? And I think we could come up with all kinds of theories, but I know for a fact it's not in there because I've read that part too.
Yeah, I don't think John was aware in his cave on Patmos of the United States of America.
Well, and when he was given that entire vision and shown all of that, he wasn't shown America. So there's a clear reason, and we don't know why. But I think back to this story, is Americans have been taught that they have to do whatever Israel says. And it's the secular government of Israel. The secular government should not be telling Christians in America what they should and shouldn't do with their tax dollars, with their military, and with who their allegiance should go to.
Boy, I got a lecture on Christian theology the other day from David Friedman, the former Trump ambassador to Israel. And I was like, not against David Friedman, seems smart, but seemed a little much to be giving me a lecture about Christian theology. I mean,
Well, and also here's something else we have to recognize with people that are mad at me or mad at you about saying these things. We need they need to think about this too, is hey, we all live in this house. It's called the United States of America. This is our house. And if we are giving our full allegiance to another foreign country who doesn't pay our taxes, will not pay off our debt, did not come and defend our southern border when it was invaded for 4 years straight, when its prime minister, Netanyahu, was the first to congratulate Joe Biden being president of the United States. He was the first foreign leader. I don't understand.
A country that has longstanding military ties to China.
Yeah, there's that.
Which runs the port of Haifa. I'm not attacking. Look, Israel's doing what it thinks it needs to do. I just want to say for the 50th time, I'm not especially mad at Israel.
Not mad at Israel.
I'm mad at our leaders who don't seem to care about the United States. That's it.
And that's the problem. And that's where we are. We have this house. It's our house, the United States of America. And our elected leaders are not fully focused on our house and our problem with our children and their future. And that's why we are opening the door wide open to foreigners that have moved to the United States of America and profess insane socialist and communist views, and they are going to get elected. There's another one running against Nancy Pelosi, AOC's former campaign manager and chief of staff. And he sounds just like that mayor in New York. And he is a Democrat primarying Nancy Pelosi. So this whole thing the left is going to go in a whole nother direction because Republicans who professed America first are not solving the problems for our house.
Right. And Republicans refuse to talk about economics, like actual economics, not bullshit economics, GDP and tax cuts, but actually it's too expensive for my kids to buy a house. What are you doing about that?
Right.
And the answer is absolutely nothing. Other than yelling, you're a socialist. I'm not insecure about being a socialist. I don't really care what people call me, but that is a much bigger problem than anything Iran is cooking up in its centrifuges, as far as I'm concerned. Certainly a bigger problem for everyone I know. My kids can't buy a house. Therefore, they can't get married and have kids.
Right. So think about this. Last week, our kids were just thinking about, I can't afford to buy a house. Where am I going to get a good job? All my friends can't find a good job. A lot of young women that are conservative are like, where am I going to find a good man? A lot of conservative young men are like, where can I find a decent young woman to marry? Because many of them are insane, have turned leftward, so far left.
Yeah.
So last week,
37 sexual partners, which, sorry, people just aren't into it. You know, who's into that? It's
not I. So there's all the, but think about it. Last week, they were thinking about all their other problems that they already have, but they weren't thinking about, do I have to worry about a terrorist attack happening here in the United States? Yeah. Fast forward to this week, now it's like, oh my gosh, not only is life unaffordable and all these unknowns and all these problems I have, and my credit card debt is, my credit cards are maxed out, and I can't go on vacation, and I want to go with my friends, and I want to go to this concert, but I can't afford it. But now they have to think about, oh, if I do go to that concert, there could be a terrorist attack because we bombed Iran. It's like a whole nother set of problems.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when this guy that's running for mayor of New York City, iconic New York City, is talking to New Yorkers, and he says on the debate stage, when he's asked, what foreign country do you want to go visit? And the rest of them are saying Israel. And he says, I don't want to go. I just want to stay here in New York. Of course, they're going to listen to him.
Yeah, I listen to him, and I don't want to be mayor of New York at all. I think it's so important that someone responsible and reasonable and American runs New York. But I guess in general, I resent importing foreign conflicts into our country, ancient race hatreds, religious, ethnic hatreds. What does that have to do with us? And I feel like we've definitely wholesale imported that. I get texts all the time from, some people I like, but, Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi, telling me about some fight in US or Canada between different Muslim or Hindu groups. And I'm not against any of them. I like them all. I'm not.
Sure.
But what does that have to do with North America?
Nothing.
So why did other countries don't put up with that? You try that in the UAE.
Yeah.
This happened. You're some Pakistani worker building office buildings in the Gulf, and you have a march through downtown Abu Dhabi saying, I'm mad at India. They're like, you're out on the first flight.
Right.
Back to Lahore.
Burning their flag.
Yeah, nothing personal.
Yeah. If you're out there burning their Indian flag, I'd love to see what happens to you. Yeah.
Well, the attitude of the Emirati government is, that has nothing to do, don't bring that shit here.
Right.
Even if we're on your side. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
But okay, so in Congress, we have, I think it's 32 members of Congress are foreign born, not born in the United States.
Really?
32. I serve with them. 32.
Well, I was surprised to learn that Ted Cruz is not American. He's like a secret Canadian.
He's from Canada, not Texas.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Canada, does it border Texas?
I don't think so. Not on the map I saw.
Okay. So what is it? It feels weird even to ask you, because I've spent so many decades studiously ignoring this issue. I don't want to engage. I think it's weird. It's always bothered me, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to fight about it. But it's been pushed. You can't ignore it. And you brought it up. Why are almost every single Republican I'm aware of, other than you and maybe Massey, is in this weird kind of Israel worship mode all the time? And many Democrats, by the way, Pelosi, chief among them. What is that?
So when a candidate steps forward and they're running for Congress, they get approached by all kinds of groups, all the special issue groups, everything from pro-life groups to pro-gun groups to Christian groups, and there's a group called AIPAC, and they come too. And so they'll have a survey form for you to fill out. Each group has a survey form because they want to know where you are on the issues, which I think is a good thing. I think Second Amendment groups need to know, hey, are you going to take away my gun rights? I think that's the right thing to be asking candidates. Pro-life groups, are you going to go to Washington and vote to kill babies? We want to know who you are. I think that's great. Well, there's a group called AIPAC, and they come and they want to know what's your position on Israel, and they want you to write a paper, and they want to fill you out on your position on Israel. And then if you get elected to Congress, if you win your race, everyone's freshman year, AIPAC will take Republicans and Democrats, new members, on a special trip to Israel.
Do they pay for it?
I don't know. I don't know because they didn't take me. They didn't take me.
Were you the only one in your class who didn't go?
I think I'm the only one in my class that did not get invited. I didn't even get invited. It wasn't that I turned it down. I didn't even get invited. And I'm not anti-Semitic. I wish Israel the best. I wish them all the best. I wish everybody the best. But they didn't take me on the trip.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, but they didn't take me on the trip, so I don't know if they pay for it, but I should find that out because I think that's important. But here's the situation, and it can't be ignored, and I have no problem talking about it. I think any special interest group, if they are representing another country, a foreign country, they have to register that way.
Under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, FARA.
We have a law. Yes, they should register under that law. And I think, and their Americans are members of AIPAC. They're members, they donate to it.
Well, sure.
But if you're still an American and you were representing the interest of any foreign country, you still have to register.
Paul Manafort's an American. He's from Connecticut. I think he's from like Meriden, Connecticut or something. Weathersfield, Connecticut. He's from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And he was convicted as an American for not registering as a foreign agent, as a foreign lobbyist. So, I mean, the argument that it's Americans doing the lobbying, that's the point. Americans who are lobbying on behalf of a foreign country have to register. Doesn't mean they can't lobby. It's just it's fair to have them register.
Yes.
So why isn't AIPAC registered? Why aren't they registered under FARA? I don't understand that.
I think everybody's too afraid to push that issue.
Why?
Tucker, I have no idea. Because I think it's because it's such a strong group that will come against you. They will come against you. They will fund a primary against you. I'll probably get a primary funded against me for even saying this on this show. But you know what? I don't care.
I think you were getting one anyway.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm probably getting one. And that's fine. And my district can vote for whoever they want to represent them. They can.
It's just funny. It's like you and Massey are the only member, and the whole class, Republicans are the majority of the House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of 435.
Yeah, both sides.
Well, 535 with the Senate. And I still think you and Massey are the only ones who've ever said anything like this.
I'm sure. I'm sure we're the only ones. We're not the only ones that think it, but we're the only ones that say it.
So that's my next question.
But it's not anti-Semitic to say it.
Well, obviously. That's
because
silly.
I had a group coming to me and saying, we really want to make sure that you're voting to fund $3.3 billion, every single year to whatever. Switzerland. Exactly. That would be the same thing.
I love Switzerland. I have ancestors who came from Switzerland. And I go a lot. It's just an amazing country. I couldn't support it more. I wish Switzerland well, as I wish Israel well. But if there were, maybe there is, a Swiss lobby, I would, it probably is. I'm sure there is.
There's every kind of lobby.
Right. They don't need the help, I guess. But neither is Israel really, but I would expect them to register under the law.
Of course. And
I wouldn't be an
probably
anti-Swiss bigot.
No.
For saying otherwise. So I guess I don't really want to play along, but I'm wondering, this is all so very obvious and so rational and so relevant right now.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody ever mention this in the Congress? I mean, you've been there for a while.
No, they have their blind faith and loyalty. And they're scared to say it.
What about the guy who showed up in a foreign military uniform?
Zelensky.
Well, there's that. Well, yeah, they worship. But by the way, I just want to be clear. It's not just Israel that they worship. They also worship Zelensky.
Oh, they worship him. Oh, my goodness. They worship him.
Well, that's a clear.
But you should see the propaganda. I could go for days on that one. I went hard against that war. That war started, and it wasn't a month after that war started, and we had Ukrainian soldiers in their uniforms, injured Ukrainian soldiers on crutches.
Tight-fitting uniforms, because a lot of this is...
Limping through the halls of Congress, going and visiting our offices, begging for help. We need help. Hitler is going to come and take our country and steamroll across Europe, Vladimir Putin. But that was the thing.
Yeah.
But so we get... the propaganda that comes through the halls of Congress is incredible. It's incredible.
But do you ever sit in the House and ever have someone say, we're voting on our 22nd Israel resolution? Like this is a lot, actually.
I did, finally.
But does anybody ever say again? Like,
no.
We have a country too. 350 million people live here. No one ever says that.
No.
So Nancy Mace is like, she's just excited to vote for another.
Yes.
So it's not just, everyone talks about AIPAC. I've already said I think they should register under FAIR. It's a foreign lobby.
It's common sense.
Not attacking him.
It's not even saying anything bad about them. They just should be registered.
It's insulting, of course.
And they can continue
that everyone's afraid to say that. You shouldn't be afraid.
No.
But it's not just, there's something, like, what is this? This, I think, is the weirdest thing. Brian Mast shows up in an IDF uniform in the Congress. I don't know Brian Mast. I'm sure he's a delightful person, but like... Are you allowed to show up in a foreign military uniform in the Congress?
I don't think it's, I don't, it's like waving a foreign flag on the floor.
But they're all over the place.
But he served over there in the IDF. Yeah.
How can an American serve in a foreign military and keep his citizenship?
I have no idea. It's the same thing as how can foreign-born people serve and be members of Congress? I don't understand how that happens.
But serving in a foreign military, that's pretty serious.
Yes. You swear an oath and you swear your allegiance to fight and die for that country. You're saying, I'm willing to die for this country, but then you can serve in our country's Congress.
But how can you remain a citizen? If I go and serve in the Russian army, I assume.
Yeah.
I have no plans to.
Right,
I'm not Russian.
No.
I don't want to. But if I did, I think people would say fairly, like, how can you be an American? Don't you forfeit your citizenship by doing that?
People would say, yeah, they definitely would come.
Well, of course I'd go to jail for it.
Yeah.
But,
the New York Post mocked me and called me Moscow Marjorie and put it on their front page because I didn't want to vote to fund Ukraine. So clearly.
Moscow Marjorie.
Yeah, Moscow Marjorie. Yeah.
Funny, the New York any Murdoch publication is just agnostic on most things, but really pro-war.
Oh, they love war.
Yeah.
Well, they love it. It helps their ratings. It keeps all the baby boomers glued to the television 24 hours a day because they're terrified that bombs are going to fall on America. Something terrible is going to happen. You have to keep up with it. The funniest thing to me, Tucker, was how come, okay, look, our country funded that war in Ukraine, funded it. And our military leaders ran that war. They have been all about that war. We fund their government. We fund their retirement. We have funded their small businesses. The American people, tragically, have kept Ukraine afloat. But how come we couldn't watch that war on television? And I say that sarcastically because I think it's ridiculous. We could watch the Israel and Iran launching bombs at each other and exploding in their cities and people's reactions and the nonstop commentary and counting missiles and how many missiles they shot down. But we never saw that with Ukraine and Russia. And I want to know why. Why didn't we see that?
Well, now we don't see it. I asked a bunch of members of Congress, including the Speaker of the House, disgraceful person, in my opinion, Mike Johnson, but so you funded this war with billions of our dollars. We're bankrupt, but you're paying for this war because you love the Ukrainians so much. How many Ukrainians have died? No clue. Not interested. They're not interested. Really, you're funding the war because you love the Ukrainians, but you're not even keeping track of how many of its young men have died, or now middle-aged men have died.
How many fathers, how many brothers?
Yeah, how many people with Down syndrome? How many Ukrainians with Down syndrome were pulled off the street and sent to go die in a war that you were paying for? They don't care.
No.
That's when I thought, I'm kind of out.
Oh, totally out on that. But it's an interesting comparison. Why can you watch one on TV and you can't watch the other one on TV? And I don't know the answer to that.
You should be able to watch whatever you want on TV, right?
Supposedly.
Pull up pornography on your iPhone. You probably should be able to watch a war that you're paying for.
Right. But isn't that just like, why is that? Why do Americans have to be shown that Israel is about to be annihilated? And what are the consequences of that to America if Israel is annihilated? No, wait, let's say it like this. Nuclear armed Israel. Why do we have to be shown on TV 24 hours a day, nuclear armed Israel being bombed and attacked? And why do we have to be fed that? When we're not fed that about any other war anywhere else.
Being manipulated, that's why.
Yes.
Why all the flags, the foreign flags in the Congress? I was just up there last week, and every member has a foreign flag. Not every member, but a lot of them, the Republicans, all have Israeli flags, which I personally think is a beautiful flag. I'm not opposed to the flag.
No.
But when I was a kid, I went to Congress when I was a kid. There are no foreign flags. It's the United States Capitol. It's the capital of our country.
It's the capital of the United States of America.
What do you have one? A foreign flag?
My job title is representative.
Right.
I don't wear foreign flags. I wear the American flag.
So, but you're one of the only ones who doesn't wear a foreign flag.
Not many don't wear foreign flags. Yes, that's correct. Or no, they'll wear a pin that will have the American flag and the Israel flag together. And there's also pins that have the American flag and the Ukraine flag together. And then,
are they the same country?
No.
Okay.
Contrary to what some people may believe.
Yeah. Okay. So does anyone ever talk about this?
No. It is widely accepted. It's an everyday part of people's attire. And then Democrats will wear many foreign flags. I mean, they've gone through Gaza, they've gone through Mexico, they've got Iran. Yeah. Well,
Mexico?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, I think Mexico hates us much more than Iran does.
You know what?
I grew up next to Mexico. I like a lot of Mexicans personally.
I got to tell you, I was in Mexico last weekend and it was great.
Oh, no. Well, Mexicans are great people.
Mexicans are great people.
I could not agree more.
And the area I was in was gorgeous.
No, I'm saying the Mexican government.
Oh, the Mexican government. Yeah, enough of that.
Yeah.
But no, the people there, oh my goodness, wonderful people.
I agree.
They're bilingual. Their English is perfect. And it's not because they were in the United States. It's because they learn English and Spanish in their schools as they're growing up.
Sure.
The customer service was the best customer service I have had in decades. And customer service is one of the things I'm really picky about because I grew up in a construction company and my dad's number one rule was customer is king. And so you treat the customer as they are the king. And that is how we will survive. That's how we will make money is we treat our customers better than anybody. And so it's a little thing I pay attention to.
It's a big thing.
I was blown away. I was like, everybody's saying hello to me every single day. They're asking me if I need anything. I mean, like everybody I walk by and I'm going, wait, this isn't what I was told about Mexico.
No, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of Americans living in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
No, of course they
but
can.
I don't
they
get
can't afford to live in the United States.
But we don't have that kind of customer service in the United States.
No, we definitely don't.
And we don't have that kind of mentality in our government.
No, I know. I've noticed.
So we have, everyone I work with is going from dinner or cocktail hour to some lobbying group, to some special interest group. They're invited to speak, so they feel honored to speak at these groups. And it's every single night or a lunch or a breakfast in Washington, D.C., and they're going and doing all these things, and then they're wearing their lapel pins or their little pocket handkerchiefs or whatever it may be, representing foreign countries or tying them to the United States as if you could tie a foreign government to our government. That's ridiculous. And it's widely accepted and it's common practice and no one ever questions it.
So now you are questioning it without hate, I think.
No.
And you said like 5 times you're not mad at Israel. You're mad at American leaders who refuse to put their own country first, which I think is fair.
Right.
But, I mean, you're going to get crushed for saying this.
Probably.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think I don't know, but I'm sure they're going to try to find a primary against me
Yeah.
that won't say the things that I say.
Yes.
And they're going to try to say that I'm betraying Trump when I'm not at all. I have spent millions of my own dollars campaigning for that man all over the country, like freely, just going.
Weren't you just with him the other day?
Yes.
I saw you with him somewhere.
At the White House.
Yeah.
Like you cannot make me not love. I love him. I think he's great, and I support him, and I think he did a great job. I think it was incredible that our military was so well trained, the strikes that they made, and then President Trump said enough, and he backed out of it. No other president would have done that. And the Congress is upset that he backed out. And Mark Levin's head is going to explode.
Well, actually,
on
I
his
have
show.
the quote, and I hate to beat up on Mark Levin. He's got enough problems, obviously. But so the moment the ceasefire happened, he said this: "I hate this word ceasefire. I really do." So how could, I mean, that's so, I do think it, your worldview, what you're like as a person, what you love, what you hate, like that, it is important. And if you hate the word ceasefire, I hate the word like dead children or killing. But ceasefire, that's the word you hate? Haven't you? I mean, wow, that's
right.
A heavy thing to say.
Yeah, so Mark Levin that is attacking you every hour on his X account and attacking me and calling me names. And Fox News is tolerating that, by the way.
Of course.
Which is, I think, atrocious and pathetic. Any other company, by the way, would never allow their employees to go on their own personal social media and like verbally berate and attack and call names to people. That's a fireable offense in the real world and in the private sector. No company allows their employees to do that. Fox News is allowing Mark Levin.
Well, you can't fire Mark Levin. He's got such a huge audience. Oh, wait, no. Nobody voluntarily watches Mark Levin, of course.
I don't know anybody that watches Mark Levin. I'm sure someone watches it, but he's the great one, apparently. Yeah. But no, seriously though, it's the fact that he hates the word ceasefire is an attack on the president. That's a real attack on the president. Not the words that I'm saying, not anything that I've said, not when I said we shouldn't be doing this. That wasn't an attack on the president. That's going exactly with what President Trump campaigned on. Now, what Mark Levin is saying, that he hates the word ceasefire, that is his attack on President Trump. That's him putting the ultimate disapproval, hate on what President Trump has done and that we are all so thankful and happy for. Peace is the ultimate thing that we should pursue at all times. Peace at all times, because it's good for every country and every single people. But Mark Levin hates it.
Well, peace is also the purest expression of strength. And I'm not resurrecting the hoariest quote of all, peace through strength from Reagan, which, there's truth in that. But peace is a byproduct of strength. When you have a strong father in the home, you've got strong parents, the kids get along. Mm-hmm. You got some, flaky Xanax head running the house.
Yeah.
The kids are out of control. There's chaos, there's fighting.
That's right.
Like strength brings peace.
Yeah.
Dad's home. Knock that shit off.
We love that.
Yeah, but that's just
true.
That's a
yes.
principle that never changes.
Right.
And so it's just funny that there are people, I just can't get past it. I think it's important to say it because you want your country to be good. You want its leaders to be good. You don't always have to agree with them. Mm-hmm. But if their main goal is to kill people, if they don't have any problem watching Randy Fine, who's a member of Congress, I guess, from Florida.
Barely got elected, by the way, in a very red district.
In a very red district.
Very red district.
But Randy Fine, someone sent him, this is when I got off social media. I'm not looking at it anymore because it's disgusting. But somebody sent him a picture of literally of a dead child. And he's like, that's great.
Oh my goodness. That's the most horrible thing ever.
But how could someone like that serve in the Congress?
I have no idea. They shouldn't be in Congress.
What God is he worshiping? He's constantly talking about God.
Not my God.
What God wants that?
Nope. Nobody. No God. Well, there is no God but God. And our God does not want anyone to celebrate a dead child.
So if I'm whatever that guy's name is, Mike Johnson, running, the Republican, Speaker of the House, I'm calling Randy Fine and being, hey, son, no. You're not allowed to celebrate dead children on your Twitter. Like, you're a member of the Republican Party in the Congress. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, no.
Did that happen?
I don't know.
Did
Not
any other, I'm sorry to be mean or so personal. I tried to interview Randy Fine. He canceled on me, but it would have been interesting.
That's a shame. He would, I think
I don't
his
be
district,
mean, but like, what do you even?
He should answer to his district for that.
I agree.
I have to answer to my district for everything I do and say.
But did other Republicans say, wow, this guy is one of us. He's part of the conference or whatever they call it. Conference, yeah. He's a Republican, a fellow Republican in the House, and he's celebrating dead children. Did anybody say, like, that's not?
I didn't hear anybody say that.
If someone put a swastika on their Twitter feed.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, and they should. I'm opposed, for the record, I'm opposed to the swastika.
Wait, let me say, for the record, I'm opposed to the swastika.
Of course. But if you put a symbol of like hate and violence and killing children on your Twitter feed,
unacceptable.
The people who run your party would say something about it, right?
Oh, well, I got kicked out of, I got totally removed from all committees for things that I had put on social media or shared before I ever became a member of Congress.
But you weren't espousing violence, were you?
No, I was not espousing any type of violence.
I saw that and I was like, I don't have any choice but to vote Republican, I guess. I don't know who else I would vote for. Maybe I just won't vote, but I'm not going to vote for a party that is for killing children.
No, 100%. That's not what
how could I do that?
You shouldn't. I don't think anyone should.
Did anyone talk about that in the hallways? Like,
no,
Randy Fine's
I hadn't heard about it.
Nutcase.
You're the only person I've heard talk about it.
Really?
Yes. Honestly.
Nancy Mace didn't notice that her fellow Republican, Randy Fine, was putting I love killing babies?
I don't think so.
What about all the pro-lifers? Supposed pro-lifers. I believe in babies.
I believe the pro-life groups would be pretty upset about that.
The real ones.
But how many followers? Does anybody even know he posted it?
I don't know. I mean, about 9 people sent it to me. Like, what? I'd never heard of.
People are paying attention.
Randy Fine. Yeah, and every time there's a bombing, bombs away. Like,
bombs away. That's horrible.
We're signing ordinance before it goes and kills people.
Celebrating murder, especially of the most innocent. I'm pretty sure that that's in the Bible too. Then there's very dark things for those people.
I mean, you could be an atheist and oppose that. It's so obviously repulsive. And I just think Republicans, I mean, you're an elected Republican. I'm just a bystander who has voted Republican pretty consistently for 40 years. I think it's bad for I hate to use the word brand, but like.
I think it's terrible for the brand.
Yeah.
But that's what the election was all about. No more foreign wars. No more regime change. No, the 13 soldiers that were killed in the Afghanistan withdrawal, that devastated the country. I mean, I think that was like the nail in the coffin.
I think so.
It was, and we're still devastated over it. And those poor families and there's, and the ones that don't get talked about, no one talks about the soldiers that were horribly injured.
Oh, I know.
We talk about the 13, but there were so many horribly injured that are living with that today. That was the nail in the coffin. And to return back to it where our party is cheerleading it and apparently sharing the dead bodies of children and celebrating that and celebrating dropping bombs. It's like, I'm not attacking President Trump because I believe he did what he thinks is right, and how he's handled it is exactly what I want from him.
Yeah.
He has done it better than anybody. But the party itself and all of the talking heads, whether it's on the internet and on television, how they reacted was repulsive to me, because they shouldn't have been like, yeah, we're going after him. It should have been like, hey, remember what happened to these 13 soldiers and their families and these other soldiers?
Well, there should at least be some solemnity. It's a big thing to kill people. It's a big thing to drop a bomb. I mean, maybe you think you need to do it. I'm not always right. I'm often wrong. So maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
but even if I'm wrong, you still shouldn't be gleeful when you drop a bomb on people. What kind of freak are you anyway?
No,
right?
I think that's horrible. No one should celebrate that. Now, here's what we can say is if the mission was successful and they really destroyed the nuclear program, then we can be really proud of our military. That is incredible. And we can be proud of the men and women that carried out that successful mission. And we can be thankful for our president for keeping our country safe. If, we can go along and say all these things are true. But at the same time, when President Trump, and he went in hard and said, it's time for a ceasefire, it's time for peace. But yet we have Mark Levin over there pissed off on his radio show, and he's saying, I hate the word ceasefire. Like, that is disgusting.
It is disgusting.
And that's not who we are. That is not our movement. That is not America First. That is not MAGA. As a matter of fact, he took off the costume temporarily because he couldn't take it anymore. It was stifling. It was hot. He was sweaty. You can see the whole thing.
It's getting moist under the skin suit.
Very much. And he ripped it off and he admitted who he was again.
Yeah.
I hate the word ceasefire. And so I think it exposed so many people.
So perfect.
Yeah, it's really sick.
It's really sick.
Too visual.
I know it's too visual. It's just better to have a normal personal life where you don't have to externalize all your weird fetishes onto the U.S. military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. Here I go again. Once again, I noticed the connection between unhappy people and killing. There are many examples through history. Well-balanced people, wise people with a sense of the future, grandchildren, people like that don't behave like Mark Levin.
No. And regular people don't behave that way. As a matter of fact, regular people don't, they're so, again, back to being like, okay, we have all these problems. My business, I want to grow my business, but I don't have any money to invest in it. People that are saying, I really need to make more money. I can barely pay my mortgage. I can barely pay my bills. My wife's car is broken down. I can't afford to buy her a new one. These are real problems. This is the stuff that Fox News should be talking about, and Mark Levin should be talking about, and CNN should be talking about. Oh. And elected leaders, most of all, we should only be talking about that.
I know.
That's because my job title is representative in the United States House of Representatives. That's our job title.
Somebody said to me the other day, I don't know if you are an elected representative, so you have a much better sense of polling and where the public is. But someone said to me yesterday, the reason this push is coming now, when there was no actual evidence that they were days away, but whatever. I'm glad. I don't want them to have a bomb. So
no, we don't want them to have a bomb.
But why now? So Steve Witkoff, wonderful man, was on his way to Amman on last Sunday, and on Friday, the bombing started. Israel started bombing. They didn't ask. They just announced that they were doing it, and they did it, and derailed the talks, of course. But why the urgency? And someone said to me the other day, it has to do with the polling on this question. And the only people who support this kind of lunacy are in Mark Levin's age demographic. Like, it's older people, young
Our
people. Our
parents' generation, the baby boomers.
I hate to say that. Everyone beats up on the boomers, but it's well-deserved, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Really selfish generation in general. But do you sense that anyone under 40 is for this stuff?
Oh my gosh, no. Baby boomers primarily get their news from television.
Yes.
The Republican baby boomers watch Fox News. The Democrat baby boomers, they watch CNN.
Yes.
Or MSNBC or whatever. That's where they get their news, and that's where they receive all the propaganda fed into their head.
Yes.
About what they should think, what they should believe, who they should support, how they should vote, when they should protest, who they need to be mad at. It's all there on television for them. But so I'm 51 years old. I'm Generation X.
Right.
And so then after that, there's the millennials, and then there's Gen Z. That's our kids. Everybody from my age down is like, enough of this crap. Everybody my age down is sick of it. They're fed up, but they don't watch TV. They don't have the TV on in the living room 24 hours a day and fall asleep to it while they're
So you don't know any 28-year-olds who are like, yeah, Iran's nuclear program is the biggest threat we face, and we need to affect regime change if necessary.
Absolutely not. No, 28-year-olds are pissed and they're lost.
Yeah.
And they're defeated. And they don't know who to turn to fix these problems.
Yeah.
And they're facing problems we never faced. And so, no, the 28-year-olds are like, oh, great. Now I've got to worry about this too. Like, what does that mean? Am I going to be drafted? Like, what does that mean? They don't want to have anything to do with it.
No, it's totally true.
It's insane. And so think about it like this. Tucker, in the next 10 years, or maybe a little bit longer, our parents' generation is going to pass away. And by the time that entire generation has moved on and the bulk of it, sadly, has passed, because that's my mom and was my dad. And when they're gone, and that mentality and those, decisions made in Washington based on all of this neocon and fighting for foreign countries and fighting the foreign causes and sending the foreign aid and all of this foreign garbage, once they're gone, we're going to be decimated and desolate because we will have never poured back into our own country.
Yes.
And then we're going to have our generation of kids who at that time are going to be like in their 30s. And it's going to be really hard for them.
No, I totally agree.
And so that generation will be gone, and Mark Levin won't get to put his opinion on anybody.
No.
And it won't matter anymore. And I don't even know if people will watch TV anymore. Who knows?
Of course not.
No, they're going to be sick of it. I mean, I think they're already sick of it. People are checking out.
We're going to get radical politics.
But I think it's going to be before 10 years.
When I was a kid, I went with my dad to Venezuela, to Caracas, and it was probably late 70s. Great town, great city. It was biggest oil reserves in the world. It was a rich country, beautiful, super nice people, beautiful women. It was just great. Caracas, Venezuela was great. The economy of Venezuela was always pretty centralized. Basically came down to like a very small number of families controlled everything, which is fine unless you marry that to democracy. You give everyone a vote. So you can only have an economy that's pyramid shaped,
right?
If you don't give everyone the vote. But the second you give everyone the vote, you better share the wealth, or just shut it down and make it an oligarchy. But you can't have those two together. So they had those two together, and then they elected a Marxist, who, and all those rich people who were there when I was in Caracas are now living in South Florida and,
of course,
paying politicians to hate Maduro or whatever. But the point is, it's not even about Chavez or Maduro. It's like they were the products of a society that couldn't sustain a middle class.
Right.
And that's going to happen to us.
It's already happening. It's already happening.
I wrote a whole book about this that nobody read a number of years ago because it was so obvious that it was coming. So obvious to me. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get. It's going to be about economics too. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that?
Oh, for sure. It's always about money.
I know.
And it should be our responsibility to create an environment, to create a system, to create an economy where everybody can get rich.
Yeah.
Where people can actually make a lot of money. Because when you make a lot of money, guess what? You are happy. I know they tell you that money doesn't buy happiness, but guess what? Money definitely buys a lot of happiness. It doesn't make you perfect. It doesn't solve who you are on the inside, but it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And we have created a system, we've created an economy where we are creating a lot of unhappiness because people are going broke.
It's true.
And there is in Washington, D.C., everyone is drawn by whatever group they're speaking to, whatever lobbyist interest, all these things that are pulling them away from what we really should be doing. And we're not fixing the problems.
That's totally right.
And I think so you asked me in the beginning, which direction will it go? And so there's two things I have to talk about directions on. One of them is with our country, it's really going to be up to the American people if they're willing to get in there and really make a difference and fight for our country to not be taken over by these insane people that are going to all of a sudden start running for office everywhere. That is a decision that people have to make. And I'm watching it in my own home state of Georgia. I'm watching it right now. We are coming up on the next election cycle. It is going 2026. We have our governors, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, is all the entire slate. Our entire state, all positions are on the ballot, and a Senate seat. And I am not seeing the willingness in the state of Georgia to rise to the occasion among Republicans, voters, and donors, especially among donors, because they don't see the threat that's coming for them. They have been living in Georgia where everything has been, we have a great state. Everything's wonderful. Life is great there. Republicans have been in control. Have they done everything perfect? No, but my goodness, they've done a lot right. So no, everybody's kicking back. It's like they don't worry about it. Why would they worry about it? But they are not aware that we're so purple. Oh my goodness, Georgia is on the brink of being stolen. And it's like this, Tucker. Democrats stole California years ago.
I noticed, yeah.
It's a communist state. They have seriously taken New York to the point of something terrifying. And we saw that election yesterday. Think about those states, okay? California's ports in California, powerful ports. That's trade, that's everything. New York, super powerful ports. That's where the airports, that's where people come in from all over the world to California, New York. The state of Georgia is very similar, and the Democrats know it, but the Republicans are not paying attention to how important Georgia is. Georgia is the economic hub of the South. We have the busiest airport in the world in Atlanta. We have the third largest port in the country, the third largest port in Savannah. We have I-75, I-85. We have so much trade and commerce in our barely red state that 2 Democrat senators hold seats in, by the way. And the people they are not rising to the occasion. They are not serious about defeating Democrats in this next election. It feels like they are on autopilot and they are snoozing. But when the Democrats take the state of Georgia, they will. It's impactful. It's impactful on our economy, and it's a power structure that's terrifying when you put it the dynamic of California and New York, and if they take Georgia.
So I think the cycle is you let the middle class wither, you make it impossible for people to own anything, and then all of a sudden you have like an entire army, shock troops of disenfranchised, unhappy people who are your voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
That are desperate.
Exactly.
And who will they turn to?
The most radical person.
That's right.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. Do you think the White House understands this?
I hope they understand
So
it.
what's going to happen is you're going to see some seriously radical people elected in 2026, next fall, a year from November. And the story will be, well, they're just pissed at Trump. It's anti-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm sure they don't like Trump, but that's not what it is.
No.
It's the state of the economy.
For sure.
And it's the fact that Larry Fink has all the money.
It's the fact, yeah. It's the fact that our nation's leaders have been America last for a very long time.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to run for your seat again?
I'm going to run for my seat again. I don't know. I have options.
Yeah, I know
I
you
do have options, but I look at my home state and I go, you know what? I love Georgia more than any place on the planet.
Yeah.
And I would fight for them to the death. But if they're not willing to fight too, then why would I throw myself out?
I just noticed, I referred to it before, and I've lived it, by the way. I ran away from the city I lived in. And everyone I know my age, I'm 56, who can afford it, it's like, I'm moving to my summer house or whatever. Sure. It's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How about Southeast Idaho? I should live in Driggs. No, for real though. People are just like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm leaving. And that is understandable. I mean, again, I did it. So I'm not judging, but it's also kind of ignoble. It's not impressive to do that. Like impressive people say, no. My parents are from here. I'm staying. Like I'm not leaving.
But at the same time, you can't do it by yourself.
No, I know.
And that you need people.
And it does feel like people who are vested in the system just don't want to fight, do they?
I feel like Republicans in general don't see the fight ahead. They are completely blinded. The Republican Party as a whole is completely blinded to what is happening right now. The whole conversation in Washington is Democrats in disarray. Oh, they're so lost. They're fighting for the illegals, the criminal cartels.
Is that really what they're saying?
Yes, they're saying Democrats in disarray.
Like inside
in our meetings. Yeah.
Whoa.
Democrats are in disarray. They're going to lose. We're going to win the midterms,
They're really saying that?
Yes.
Kind of congratulating themselves?
Yeah. Like as if it's like we just won the election in November. So it's still that same kind of vibe because Democrats are so lost right now. They don't even know who they are. It's that nonstop conversation because they're seeing them go out and fight ICE, and they're seeing them do these No King protests, and they're seeing them wave foreign countries' flags and things like that. And they're saying Democrats are in disarray when I don't see it that way.
No, I agree with you completely.
And the Republicans cannot win elections if they don't understand what the enemy is doing and how they're rebuilding and the direction that they're going in.
And they're harnessing rage, real rage. I don't think it's aimed necessarily at Trump, but there's real rage about the decay in the country.
Yes.
Abandoning young people.
That's the whole reason everyone voted for President Trump.
No, that's why he won young people.
Absolutely. And that's why another reason why I love him. His message and campaign promises are the greatest. But if Republicans don't deliver them, once you burn people are too burned. They've been burned too many times by the government. They've been burned too many times by politicians. They don't trust anybody anymore. And I don't blame them. I'm like, I feel the same way.
Maybe we should just move oil prices up to $100 a barrel because we're having another war in the Middle East. Like that, the reckless, like if you brought that up, I said that. I was roundly attacked for saying that.
I was attacked for that.
That's not a real concern, tanking your economy? I guess it's not if you're Mark Levin, but I think most people are concerned about that.
Well, I guess Mark Levin lives on some other level I don't live on, but I think cheap gas is like the most awesome thing. It's like everybody I know drives by the gas station and is like, oh my gosh, did you see it's down to $2.64? And everybody's celebrating and hoping it keeps going down.
So to just kind of casually risk spiking the global oil price like that because... I don't know. The recklessness of it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say this, but I was enraged by that.
Yeah, of course. And then also, oil, it goes into so many products. It's not just the price of gas. It's literally in everything. It's in our clothes. It's in everything.
Yeah.
Oil is in everything.
Where do you think your Patagonia fleece comes from?
I don't have one.
No, but I'm just saying, like plastic. Polyethylene comes from natural gas.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Right. No, it's all from hydrocarbons, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, no, I could go on and on. I'm interested in the topic, but what I'm even more interested in right now is the kind of casual risk-taking that I'm seeing that I really disapprove of. I don't, if you led your family like that, you should be in jail.
For sure. And I think President Trump understood the moment, and he himself had to fight back against everybody. When he said it's time for peace and it's time for a ceasefire, he had to fight back these people that were still like, yeah, let's go, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd, but they're celebrating this movement, and the movement is really to destroy the movement that President Trump created and the movement that everybody voted for.
You think Tom Cotton's rooting for MAGA?
No.
Probably not.
Well, we know Ted Cruz is not.
No, of course not. And I don't know. I mean, there is a kind of honor in just saying what you think and just being straightforward about your agenda. I guess what I'm bothered by, including agendas I hate or disagree with, but I'm really offended by the fakeness. No, it's MAGA or it's America first to put another country first. No, it's not. It's not. Just say, I like America. It's not, I served in a foreign military. It's not, I have a foreign flag on my door. So it's obviously not my first priority, but I like it. Yeah. Why not just be straightforward? Why lie to me?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I don't think they are lying, Tucker. They do say that they love whatever country's flag they have. They do say it, and they do give their allegiance to them.
Yeah.
Actually, they're not lying.
One last question. Because you've been there a while, you're a social person. I think people like you personally. I know they do because I've heard that. How many other Republican members of Congress sort of understand the things that you've been saying?
I couldn't give you an exact number. I think there's a small percentage of them that agree with me, but they don't want to say it. They won't say it out loud. It's too risky, or they perceive it to be too risky because they don't want to be called anti-Semitic. That's the label. It's like once you get called that label, you get all these nasty articles written about you.
Yeah.
You get all these, the RJC comes after you, and then you've got donors coming to you and saying you can't be anti-Semitic. When here's the honest truth, it's not anti-Semitic to say we shouldn't be fighting a war that Israel started. And it's not anti-Semitic to say we shouldn't be doing what Netanyahu is telling us to do when he's in the tank in polls in his own country. And honestly, that man should have stepped down after October 7th. That was the most horrific, horrible thing that happened to all these innocent people in Israel. And it happened on his watch. And that's the reality. And I'm quite sure there's many people in Israel that feel that way. And
I think he's at
upset.
like 30%.
Exactly. And it's
He's
also
way more popular in the Congress than he is in Israel. Way more.
Oh, way more popular. And it's not anti-Semitic to say that there was a vote on last Thursday, that he barely won by 2 votes. And had he have lost that vote, there would have been an election called. And according to the polls, he would have lost. And then the next day on Friday, they launched the attack on Iran. And what does war do? Pulls everybody together. And so that's not anti-Semitic to talk about. That's reality. And it's not anti-Semitic to say Americans' hard-earned tax dollars in a nation where we're $37 trillion in debt shouldn't be going to Israel or shouldn't be going to any country, that we should be keeping those at home. We should keep that money at home. There's towns in my district that could use some money coming down there to fix a water treatment plant or to help pave a road. That's where our tax dollars should be going to. Should be helping people that were affected by hurricanes. Should be helping people like, oh my goodness, in Lahaina from a fire. All kinds of California, for heaven's sake. We should be helping our own Americans. This is not anti-Semitic. And I refuse to have that label put on me. And they've tried to do it to me before, and everybody that knows me knows that is not true about me. And the reality is, it's a lie. And it's a lie that we need to get over.
It's also identity politics, which I thought we'd given up.
I thought so too.
I was so annoyed by the Democrats. They could never talk about Americans. It was always this group or that group, Malaysian Americans, lesbian Filipino Americans, or whatever. I'm not against any of them, for the record. But how about just Americans? And I remember hearing everybody on Fox giving that lecture. We hate identity politics. And then all of a sudden, they're just engaged in it. There's nothing, it's an inherently divisive message. Mm-hmm. Isn't it? How about passing a bill on behalf of every American citizen, no matter what he or she looks like?
That's the only thing we should be doing. Because our job title is representative.
It's so dark. I can't even handle it. Do you think that, and this is my last question, you've been so generous with your time. And by the way, from the day you started running and they decided your opponents have really good instincts and they knew that you were going to say what you thought. And that's the thing that they hated about you.
Yeah.
But they would always say, because you have a Southern accent, she's stupid. And I would just dare any honest person to listen to the hour and a half we just did. Maybe they hate everything you said. No one thinks you're stupid. That was really smart analysis, much smarter analysis than I got from Harvard Law School graduate Ted Cruz, I would say. Mm-hmm. Did you go to Harvard Law School?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just think it's a really smart analysis. What you said, it's true.
Thank you.
Do you feel like any of this will change? The attitudes will change, that the people claiming to put America first actually will?
I think there's a shift happening, and I saw it a little bit. I don't know how big it is, but I saw a small shift, and I saw it mostly in regular people. And I think there are people I serve with that are feeling it too, but I don't know how willing they are to just say enough. Enough of this. I'm just gonna focus on our country and my district, because that's the simplest thing to say. The most simplest thing to say. I can say I hope so, but I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as I'd like to see it.
Yeah, well, 2026, when they get just creamed, election morning, they're like, "Oh, Democratic Party is so disorganized." They're still talking about trans stuff. I hated the trans stuff more than I've hated almost anything. I mean, I really hated it. Destroyed so many lives of kids. But what it's really about is economics, and they have just refused to acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to.
You're totally right.
Yep, because what happened under 4 years of Biden? Inflation was crazy. Yep. Everything was out of control. Our whole country felt unstable. The economy was fake. It was propped up by money pumped into it by the government and all the spending. And look at the shift that happened. People couldn't take the crazy
Private
anymore.
Equity owns the houses on your street and your veterinarian and your dental practice and owns everything. And they don't improve it. They make it shittier, actually.
Yeah, because no one's going to care about their sweet little, I always love the mom and pop grocery stores.
Yeah.
And I hate that they've been replaced by Dollar General.
Well, of course.
One of my biggest pet peeves.
But you're not allowed to mention it, or else you're a socialist. Ben Shapiro's like, "Oh, you're a socialist." Because I don't like Dollar General? Really?
Who's Ben Shapiro?
I have no idea. But I tried to bring this up to him years ago, that the economic thing, I'm hardly an economist, but I just think being able to afford to live in the country that you were born in and being, having an economy that allows your children to have children, that just seems like that's the measure.
Yep. And you want to know something? That should be the one thing that unifies everybody.
It's all I care about. I'll tell you that.
I don't care. I'm getting to the point where I almost don't care about the two parties anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why would I be loyal to one? And I definitely disagree with the other one. But if we can find a place to actually, like you're talking about, care about the economy and care about our children's ability to have a future and raise a family, then I don't care. I don't care who I have to work with. It's just getting to the point where that is so fundamentally important and nothing else should matter.
I couldn't agree more. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you for spending all this time, and good luck, because you will definitely.
I'm going to need it.
You're going to make the Daily Beast mad. I'm just telling you that right now. You are. They may not even endorse you.
Darn it. I don't read them, so I don't care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it turns out that YouTube is suppressing this show. On one level, that's not surprising. That's what they do. But on another level, it's shocking. With everything that's going on in the world right now, all the change taking place in our economy and our politics, with the wars we're on the cusp of fighting right now, Google has decided you should have less information rather than more. And that is totally wrong. It's immoral. What can you do about it? Well, we could whine about it. That's a waste of time. We're not in charge of Google. Or we could find a way around it, a way that you could actually get information that is true, not intentionally deceptive. The way to do that on YouTube, we think, is to subscribe to our channel. Subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to be notified when we upload and share this video. That way you'll have a much higher chance of hearing actual news and information. So we hope that you'll do that.